I'm Katie Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. Hey friend, happy birthday to me. I am so excited. It's my birthday and I get to hang out with you and read you a chapter from my new book before it's even released. So it is like I am tingling with anticipation here. And admittedly, I've never liked having a winter birthday, especially growing up in the Midwest. It's like freezing and there's nothing to do. And it's still pretty cold here in North Carolina where I live. But, that aside, reading you a chapter from my book is just something extra sweet and warming to my heart. So I'm so happy you're here. And by the way, if you're new here, welcome. January brings a lot of new listeners because we're trying to simplify our lives, right? So I'm so happy you found your way here. You have over 300 episodes, as you can see, to dig into. But if you don't want to sift through over 300 episodes and you want my best strategies to create a calmer, more simplified, easy to manage home, the book is a great option for you. That link is in the show notes. And if you're a longtime listener and you already pre-ordered, thank you from the bottom of my January birthday heart. Truly, anyone who's messaged me, I've responded, and I truly mean it when I say your support means everything to me. So I'm so happy. Today, I'm going to read chapter 2. There are 14 chapters in the book. I'm like, which chapter am I going to read? There's so many to choose from. And I ended up with this one because really it's a big piece of the holistic decluttering puzzle. And it's called Your Stuff Story. And it's about understanding the why behind your stuff and your patterns. So if you're new here and you've decluttered before, but struggle with certain things, struggle with shopping, struggle with certain patterns and emotional ties, and you just keep feeling like you're hitting a wall or getting frustrated, once you understand your stuff story and just shine a light on it, everything else tends to get a lot easier. Strategies are easier to apply. Decisions can get clearer. And I think for me, speaking personally, and just all my students where we've talked and worked with their stuff stories on, it gives you grace, permission, and I think more progress than ever become readily available to you. So I'm at home. I'm on my cozy couch. I have a hot tea in one hand, my book in the other, which is just so wild to see. I can't wait to get it in your hands, and a cat on my lap. So girl, I'm in my happy place, truly in my home. So I'm in mine. Let's go dive into chapter 2. Okay, I feel like so official right now. And by the way, for those who've been asking, just a little side note, I do record the audiobook, so you can pre-order the audiobook, but I get a lot of questions like, am I reading it? For better or for worse. I always kind of laugh when people ask me. I'm like, I don't know if you want me to read the book, but I am. So there's that for you. And I promise the audiobook is I'm just sitting here on my couch. This is going to be a little bit snazzier for you. Okay, so anyway, chapter 2, and we dive in. Imagine sitting in a theater, playbill in hand, anticipation buzzing. The show is about to begin, but the curtain never rises. The lights stay off. It is dark, and the performance begins. You can hear the actors' muffled dialogue and footsteps across the stage. You catch pieces of emotion. You're like, I think someone laughed. There was an outburst. You lean forward, straining your eyes, straining to see and understand, what is that person doing? Why is that actress crying? Without the visuals, you are completely lost. Believe it or not, this type of frustration and confusion is what you can experience in a cluttered space. And it happens when you live in a home that is shaped by a stuff story you haven't uncovered yet. So what is a stuff story? It is the invisible script that shapes how you relate to your belongings. And it was written over time by the people who raised you, the culture you grew up in, and the messages you picked up about safety, success, shame, and even what a good home should look like. Your stuff story, by the way, is not something you choose. It's something you inherit. And most of us are living in stories that we were never meant to write. So when you stand in your home, you're surrounded by objects that hold meaning, right? Memories and messages you absorbed long before you actually lived where you live now. Maybe you were taught that letting go of things is wasteful, that you should keep that fourth set of extra bed sheets and extra kitchen gadgets because what if you need it just in case? Maybe you grew up in a home where scarcity was real and having backups brought comfort. Maybe your parents cleaned late into the night and now clutter doesn't just feel messy, it feels like irresponsibility, this silent accusation that you should be doing more. These stories don't announce themselves, yet they shape every single decision. They're the reason why, after a weekend marathon purge, clutter can creep back in and you find yourself wondering, why is this still so hard? Is there something wrong with me? Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me sooner. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not lazy and you are not bad at this. You are living and reacting to a story that hasn't fully been told yet. So you might feel like you would in a theater with no visuals. And here's the kicker. Your brain has built habits around that story, compensating for what it can't visualize. In a sense, you're operating with these default neural patterns, which were always meant to keep you safe and efficient, but now they're keeping you stuck. So in this chapter, we are going to pull back the curtain and finally see the full stage. You need to be able to see not only the clutter in front of you, but the stories behind it, the beliefs that shaped you, and the emotional weight that's been hitching a ride on your possessions for years. You'll start to recognize the script, learn how to rewrite it so you can live out a new story that is rooted in compassion, conviction, and freedom. How your brain's default patterns keep you stuck. Have you ever walked into a room intending to declutter, then find yourself standing still? You know what needs to go, but something inside you resists. So what's this hesitation about? Well, it could be wiring. Your brain is designed with one job above all else: survival. To your nervous system, survival means sticking with what's safe, familiar, and predictable, even if what's familiar is clutter. Over time, your brain starts building patterns, these shortcuts that help you cope with discomfort, uncertainty, or emotional weight. If that pile in the corner has helped you feel on top of things, or if those junk drawers have distracted you from grief or burnout, your brain has been doing its job. Maybe you've used clutter like a buffer, something to busy yourself with when the deeper feelings seem too big to face. Maybe clutter has given you a false sense of readiness for the what-ifs ahead. Maybe holding on to things helped you avoid making the tough decisions that are laced with guilt, nostalgia, or even fear. Whatever your version looks like, those patterns were meant to protect you, not sabotage you. The problem is these protective patterns don't usually shut off when you outgrow them. Instead, they become your brain's default operating system. So even when part of you craves clarity and calm, another part clings to the comfort of the old way, not because you're lazy, but because you're loyal to what's felt safe. Psychologists call this cognitive fluency. It's your brain's preference for what's easy, known, and predictable. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a leading voice in neuropsychology, has explained that 95% of the time we operate from the subconscious mind. Unless we pause and consciously rewrite the script, we'll keep repeating the same scenes. It's like your brain is still running old software that helped you survive in a past season, but isn't designed for the story you're living now. So the first step toward change is awareness, but you can't rewire what you can't see. It's like flipping on the lights in that dark theater. Suddenly, you can recognize what's been running the show behind the curtain. The best way to begin is by tracing your patterns back to their origin, to the powerful forces that formed you, your upbringing and home environment. So whatever was modeled for you about keeping, spending, saving, and quote unquote being prepared, your personal experiences, the moments that tied emotions such as grief, scarcity, shame, pride to your stuff, and cultural conditioning, the messages, both spoken and unspoken, that told you more stuff equals more success, love, safety, status, achievement. Together, these three pillars formed the silent blueprint for your stuff story and how you relate to stuff. Once you see it, you can finally stop wondering, why is this so hard? And start moving forward with more understanding. The patterns you inherited. The way your parents or caregivers manage their possessions, what they choose to buy, repair, keep, or toss, often becomes the silent script for how you manage your own. Think back to your childhood. Was your home filled with just-in-case items, or did your family regularly declutter? Was a parent committed to a spotless home, always scrubbing and straightening, even if it meant missing moments of connection with you? Or was she comfortable with a little mess in exchange for time together? Those early experiences don't just fade away. They imprint. They shape what we subconsciously believe a good home should look like and how we should care for it. Maybe you've caught yourself mirroring those patterns. If your parents saved everything, you might struggle to let go, thinking, what if I need this later? Or if they were constantly decluttering, you might feel pressure to keep your home super minimal. Or maybe you swing the other way and hold on to everything as an act of rebellion. These beliefs often have deep generational roots. My grandfather grew up during the Great Depression, a time when frugality wasn't just a value, but a means of survival. And letting go of anything, even broken or what some of us might consider useless items, it felt reckless to those. So he didn't. Those habits informed what his definition of normal, right? Which trickled down to his children, including my mom, and eventually to me. Survival led to habits, and habits became inheritance. But here's the powerful part. You don't have to embrace what you inherited or pass it down to someone else in your family. You're allowed to pause and question what was handed to you and ask, does this still serve me? You're allowed to sift through stories and choose which ones you want to carry forward. And I promise in the book, I won't cry. This isn't about looking for someone to blame. This is about understanding your history and being intentional about where you go from here. Personal, your own emotional attachments. No matter what your upbringing was like, every item in your home holds some kind of meaning or message, even if you've never stopped to consider it before. Some meanings are obvious. A family heirloom that reminds you of someone you love, a photo album filled with childhood memories, a baby blanket you'd swore you'd pass down to a kiddo someday. And other meanings are a lot more subtle. They live in the corners of closets and the back of drawers, layered with hope, identity, and maybe even a little regret. They're associated with the versions of ourselves that we've been, the ones we're trying to become, and the stories we're not sure we're ready to close. You don't just keep the blazer from your old job because it's nice. You keep it because it reminds you of a time when you felt sharp, needed, successful, certain. You don't keep the treadmill because you love cardio. You keep it because part of you still believes that using it might turn you into the woman you thought you'd be by now. Maybe it's dishes for dinner parties that never happen, books for quiet weekends that never come, craft supplies for the creative version of you who's been waiting for that time that never shows up on the calendar. These aren't just things. They're placeholders for dreams you're still attached to, for identities you're not sure if you're ready to let go of. And when those items pile up, they take up not only room in your home, but also emotional real estate. They whisper stories in the background, shaping how you see yourself and what you believe is possible. But here's the truth. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on who you were or who you'll become. It means making space for who you are now. Cultural, the claim that more is better. Now for the final component of your stuff story, the cultural forces that have shaped what you believe about success, safety, and what a good life and home should look like. From the time we were kids, we've been surrounded by messages telling us that happiness is just one purchase away. Cartoons came with jingles, cereal boxes came with toys, and suddenly our joy felt tied to whatever we didn't have yet. As adults, those messages just got savvier. Sleek ads, influencers, Pinterest perfect homes. Now the promise is buy this and you'll be happier, more confident, more beautiful, more successful. And for a moment, maybe it works. You get the thing, you feel that little spark, you get that lift, then the high fades and you chase the next one. Then it becomes a loop. This time it'll stick. This time I'll feel different. But it never does, because it was never really about the stuff. It was about identity. Think about it. A luxury car doesn't just get you places. It says something about who you are. A designer purse, it's not just fabric and stitching. It's a badge. It's a signal. Even toothpaste isn't just toothpaste. It comes with the promise of a brighter smile and new charm. We are not just buying products, friends. We are buying feelings, stories, belonging, and the hope that this next thing will finally make us feel the way we've been longing to feel. We live in a culture of consumption. There's no denying it. And there is simply too much noise, too much pressure, too much more. It is a toxic undercurrent of modern life. And we're taught that full equals good. If your calendar isn't packed and your home isn't full, it must mean you're falling behind. So we rush to fill every inch of our homes, our calendars, and our lives. And the flip side of that message, emptiness feels like lack. A blank space on your calendar seems wasteful. A bare countertop seems unfinished, or a quiet afternoon just feels wrong. Space means something is missing, we were told. But what if it doesn't? What if space is where peace begins? What if less isn't insufficiency, but freedom? What if the solution isn't adding, but unlearning? You don't have to keep playing the game no one ever wins to prove your worth through what you own, do, or achieve. You get to choose a different story. So take a minute to picture yourself back in that theater, but you're no longer sitting in the dark trying to piece together the plot. The curtain has lifted, the lights are on, you're no longer catching scattered bits of dialogue. Now you're seeing the full scene with its characters and context. And in that clarity, you finally understand, oh, this is what I've been reacting to all along. And you come to realize the play is actually about you, your life, your habits, and how those decisions have affected your home. And in fact, you are not just the audience, but rather the writer, the one calling the shots on what happens next. This is what it's like to recognize the forces that shaped your stuff story and see what's been driving your relationship with stuff. With the lights on, you can name it, explore it, and question it. You get to decide which parts still fit and which parts you're ready to rewrite. Challenging the old programming. For years, my client Brooke felt trapped in a cycle she couldn't break. She could see the clutter, the extra linens no one used, the toys her kids had long outgrown, the clothes collecting dust in her closet. She knew what she needed to do, but every time she tried to let go, her body tightened, her hands would hover over an item, she would freeze and walk away. It wasn't that she didn't want a simpler home. It was that something inside her seemed to say, you can't let that go. Brooke had grown up in a house where you saved everything. You never know when you might need that was less of a suggestion and more of a family motto. Her parents had inherited that mindset from their parents, and eventually those words became hers too. What once served her family as a survival skill had become her own stuck point. Every decision to declutter triggered not just a task, but a tangle of guilt, fear, and uncertainty. And with every failed or stalled attempt, a new belief in Brooke took root. I'm just not an organized person. It became her mantra, not because it was true, but because it explained the stuckness and it gave her a reason to stop trying. Brooke did not lack motivation. She tried the printables, the just one drawer advice, the viral tidying methods, but none of them worked because none of them addressed the real issue, the internal programming that told her she wasn't allowed to let go. No checklist can override that deeply ingrained messaging that said, hold on to it just in case. Letting go would be wasteful and careless. Until one day, mid-coaching call with Brooke, something shifted. We weren't talking about stuff anymore. We were talking about her stuff story, safety, identity, the story she'd been handed and never thought to identify or even rewrite. And Brooke courageously that day decided to challenge that. After that call, she walked into a part of her home that had always kept her stuck. The kind of space she usually avoided because she was too overwhelmed, too layered, too loaded. But this time she stepped into it holding something new. The truth of her stuff story. She wasn't just standing in front of bins and shelves anymore. She was standing in front of beliefs. She knelt beside a box of baby clothes, opened a drawer filled with just-in-case items. She reached for things that have always felt impossible to her to let go of. And then she burst into tears out of sheer relief. And for the first time, she wasn't just trying to declutter. She was understanding how she'd gotten there. And in that understanding, everything softened. I finally get why I couldn't do it before, she said. It's not just about the stuff. It never was. That moment changed everything. She didn't need to declutter her whole house overnight. She just needed a new script, one she could return to again and again. Letting go doesn't mean I'm being irresponsible. Releasing what I don't use doesn't mean I'm being wasteful. It means I'm honoring what I actually use and love. Uncertainty doesn't have to stop me. I can feel unsure and still take the next step. And that's exactly what Brooke did. Even when doubt crept in, she chose to challenge the pre-programmed ideas. She knew that she wasn't just organizing things or decluttering. She was reclaiming her stuff story. And the same invitation is waiting for you. Permission to start letting go. By now, you know that you are not stuck with the story you were handed. You get to update the script, deciding what stays and what shifts. The next step is to not go toss everything you own in a fit of motivation, but to start recognizing that old programming and gently choosing a new response, one that feels aligned to who you are now, not who you were then. And that's what Brooke did. And here's why it worked. Each time she repeated a new belief, like letting go doesn't make me irresponsible. She wasn't just calming her fears. She was laying down new mental tracks, rewiring her brain through repetition. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. This is your brain's ability to form new connections. The more often you practice a new belief, the more natural it becomes. It starts to feel less like a stretch and more like your truth. And eventually that new belief becomes second nature, no longer something you're trying to believe. It's just something you do. It's your stuff story and it becomes a part of who you are. As you've begun shining a light on your stuff story, have you already felt something loosen? Naming the deeper why behind your clutter can help you release something that's been holding you back for years. And if that feels out of reach right now, that's okay too, because there's more ahead. More tools, more support, more chances to peel back the layers and uncover what's really been keeping you stuck. You are just getting started. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just need a starting point and a bit of permission to take the next right step. And I've got some ideas for you here at the close of this chapter. You are doing beautifully, and I'm so proud of you for choosing this path. Let's keep going. Okay, so at the end of each chapter, I won't go through this and read it out loud because it's in the book when you get it. But at the end of each chapter, as I wipe the snot off my face, I'm sorry. It's just so touching on so many levels to be like doing this work along with you all. There is a reflect and a take action. So a reflection, the reflect section at the end of this chapter and all the other chapters just gives you like 3 simple prompts to reflect on, which I think are just so incredibly valuable. And then a take action, right? Because really at the end of the day, this isn't about information. This is about implementation. So I think you'll all will really love that too. So that was chapter 2, Your Stuff Story, Through the Tears. If that resonated with you, if you're sitting there thinking like, wait, like, I never even thought about this, or what's my stuff story? Here's a couple options. First, you can take my Decluttering Style quiz. It's completely free. It takes 2 minutes and it'll help you figure out which clutter pattern might be tripping you up the most. And often, but not always, it's tied to your stuff story, right? And the link will be in the show notes for you there if you want to take that free quiz. And then the second is just go get the book. I mean, Making Home Your Happy Place, a real life guide to decluttering without the overwhelm, comes out in just a few weeks, February 17th. And like I said, it has 14 chapters that go deep into this. And when you pre-order, you get access to some really great bonuses. I'll cover those really quickly because some of them, the reality is you might just buy for the bonuses more than the book, and that's fine. So the first one is the No More Second Guessing guide. So you can end the what if I need this spiral. I think we've all experienced that, and make decisions with more confidence. Then you get a fast action decluttering playbook, a 30-day roadmap to a lighter home. So that hits your inbox right when you pre-order and fill out the pre-order page. And you can make progress before the book even hits your doorstep. So it's a beautiful thing. You get another sample chapter from the book. And one thing I selfishly am looking forward to that's a pre-order bonus is a live masterclass with me in early March. And it's Reclaim Your Home from Clutter in 3 easy steps, even if you've tried everything. We're going to dive deep into the holistic declutter method, and we'll have some time for Q&A and just celebration. And it's just a thank you for pre-ordering the book. So come hang, come learn, come implement with me. And we're just going to make 2026 like just an epic year for progress in your house. And all of those pre-order bonuses, again, are just a thank you from the bottom of my heart. So thanks for hanging out with me on my birthday. I truly mean it. Other than my family and friends here in Asheville, y'all are my people and you know that. So just remember, your stuff has a story to close us out here. And now you have the opportunity to rewrite it. And that's why I tear up, whether I'm doing a podcast, because I've experienced I'm on the backside of this, and it's not just about making progress decluttering. It is, but it's so much deeper than that. And a lot of you know this, right? A lot of you know this, you experience this, and it's just this massive return on your investment when it comes to just your belief structure in general, about life, about moving through life, about your happiness. It's just, the impact it can have is just so, so beautiful beyond having a more decluttered home. And I think that's just such a great gift to give ourselves. So on next week's episode, we are talking about what to do when decluttering gets hard. So when your brain shuts down and decision fatigue kicks in, I'm going to give you some really tangible tools to push through that decision fatigue. So I can't wait to hang out with you next Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the chapter, friends. I hope you enjoy the book when it hits your doorstep, and I'll see you next week.